Sa patuloy na pagtaas ng numero ng mga kaso ng COVID-19 sa Pilipinas, marami ang nalalagay sa alanganin, mahirap na sitwasyon at malalim na pag-alala. Saan ka man tumingin, di mapagkakaila ang hirap ng buhay. Pero paano na lang kung malayo ka sa pamilya mo at sa oras ng krisis, tanging magagawa mo lang ay maghintay at magdasal na sana sa araw na ito hindi makasama ang iyong pamilya sa estatistikang kinatatakutan. So ating kausapin ang aking kaibigan, makakausap ko ang ilang mga kababayan nating overseas, di lamang para pag-usapan ang kanilang pag-aalala sa mga naiwang pamilya sa Pilipinas, kundi para alamin na rin ang kanilang mga sitwasyon sa gitna ng pandemya. Mga kaibigang matagal nang hindi nakikita. Hi Kala! So, mga kaibigang sila mismo ay direktang naapektuhan.
So, I had some health issues about the whole thing, diba? So,
kaibigang nalagay sa alanganin.
And then after I took medicine, I was fine. And then the next day, yun na, ubo-ubo. Tumalala na yung ubo ko, ganyan.
Mga bagong kilalang kaibigang kumapit sa pananampalataya nang sila'y magkasakit.
Magkakaroon ng third lockdown.
Iba't ibang kwento na di naiiba sa hinaharap natin dito sa Pilipinas. Ito ang kanilang kwento. Magandang araw po sa inyong lahat. Muli po, ako po si Jay Orense at tulad po ng nakaraan, may isa na naman po tayong kababayang makakausap upang kamustahin. Siya po ay nakabase sa Paris, France for the last 6 years. Isa po siyang may bahay at isa po siyang ina. And she's also a journalist, a Reuters journalist in Paris, France. So let's welcome Michi Cabrera. Michi, kamusta ka na? At pwede mo ba kaming balitaan sa kasalukuyang kalagayan ninyo dyan sa France?
So, ngayon, so 1 year na tong pandemic, di ba? And kaka-announce lang ng presidente ng France, si Emmanuel Macron, nung isang araw na magkakaroon ng third lockdown. Pero hindi naman siya tulad nung mga nakaraang lockdown na very strict at hindi kami makakalabas. Pero ang particular dito is isasarado ulit ang mga paaralan.
Mm-hmm.
So yung baka naririnig niyo siya ngayon kasi medyo may
That's fine, Mitch. That's
so
fine.
yung daughter ko who's in grade 1, the equivalent of grade 1, starting next week, they will go into distance learning, which since hindi naman talaga sinarado yung schools dito, medyo experimental pa ito.
So when you say distance, when you say distance schooling, that's homeschooling, no? Is that right?
Yeah. So lahat online muna. But since nga France for this whole year has tried its best to keep schools open, they will only do this for 1 week. Can you imagine?
1 week?
1 week. Nalaloka na sila sa 1 week, whereas sa Pilipinas, more than 1 year na siya. Diba? So,
Happy New Year!
Yeah! So, yun, 1 week pa lang, and then 2 weeks, there will be spring break. So that's what has been announced so far, that there will be a 3-week school closure. And everybody, again, is encouraged to work from home. So my husband, he's working from home. He hasn't really gone back to the office since last year, except very, very, very few times I can count with my 2 hands.
Are you working from home also, or because you're a producer? Most of the time out there, diba? You're shooting.
Since alam mo naman yan, you're a TV producer too.
Yeah.
We need to go out on shoots, do interviews. So, and even if we edit videos, because I'm a TV producer, medyo mahirap from home because mabibigat yung files.
True.
Maraming elements na kailangan ilagay. So, it's more practical talaga sa office.
But how do you make sure that everything is safe? That, you're not bringing viruses sa bahay, diba? So, how do you make sure that it's safe?
Well, here everyone's in masks. And even in the metro, everyone's in masks. And there have been studies naman na it doesn't really spread in the metro because with your mask and you're not talking, parang yung mga ano yan, yung virus particles hindi naman nagsispread yan masyado sa metro. So people still take the metro. You would be surprised. It's still quite, I wouldn't say full, but people are still regularly taking it. Ngayon with a variant na mas contagious, and mas, we don't know if it's even more virulent for others, but for example, in France, the ICUs are getting saturated again, most like 85% with the new variant, especially the ones from the UK and South Africa. So it's really like another stage of the pandemic, and we really should not let our guard down.
Yeah. So, parang ang impression ko, Michi, is you don't feel any anxiety right now as compared to, I mean, I live in the Philippines. Yeah. Parang nararamdaman ko yung anxiety lahat ng mga tao. But my impression from what you're saying right now is parang, ayan, no, umiinom ka pa ng wine. parang kampante pa kayo dyan. Is that right?
Ito ang secret.
Makainom nga mamaya. But, I mean, to be honest, parang okay lang yun sa'yo, no? Okay ka lang dyan. And is this the general sentiment of French people na hindi sila masyadong anxious about it?
It's funny that you ask that because during this time compared to this time last year, when it was a full lockdown talaga, you have to, write down certificates when you go out, and there were really more police going around. Now it's true that it's more relaxed.
Yeah.
And now people don't need to write certificates anymore, and as long as you're within 10 kilometers from your home, you won't really get, what they call here as controlled, meaning, you can't be fined for it.
Yeah.
And I think like the authorities, parang they just passed on the message na, okay, as long as you're careful and you don't really group together, you don't have parties, you don't have, gatherings in which you take off your masks. I mean, the restaurants are still closed. It's not normal. I don't want to give the impression that France now is back to normal. It's far from it. Restaurants are still closed. They closed down the shops. People are still working from home, and starting next week they're closing the schools. So it's kind of a lockdown.
Yeah.
But I guess because we can go out and maybe the French, it's spring, the weather is suddenly more sunny, winter is over, people want to be in the park, they want to be outdoors. Para bang they just want to breathe. And the government, I think, in fairness to Emmanuel Macron, they recognized that. So they just kind of said, okay, just be careful, work from home, wear your masks. And then we'll just try to get through this. Para bang ganon.
Correct. I just wonder when the first lockdown was declared last year in France, what was it like? Especially that you have a daughter, of course, nag-iisip ka rin for her, di ba? So what was it like during that time when the first lockdown was declared in France? And it wasn't really that easy also, di ba? Parang ang dami ring restrictions during that time.
Yeah. It was really like my husband Simon and I were talking about it, and we were saying to each other how really particular and unique this period was for us and for the rest of the world, because we live on a busy street in Paris, and we usually see people like nonstop walking in front of our windows. There are hotels around, boulangerie, bakeries, there are stores, and so suddenly there was no one, the streets were empty, and then the schools were closed. So we had our daughter with us 24/7, and during these first weeks, even my own outings as a producer were very, very limited. We were just trying to just send out the cameraman, as little. We were trying to really limit our shoots, or well, at least for the producers. So it was like we bonded a lot. Not that we don't bond enough, but it was just like the three of us in our little apartment for 24 hours. And Maya was at that time, she didn't really have much homework, so she was just at home playing. I was worried that was such formative time for her, even it was just in kindergarten. That was the time she was learning to read and count.
Yeah.
So I was saying, oh my God, they stopped her. Be quiet. They stopped her learning, at this critical time. So for me, it wasn't so stifling. It wasn't that. It was just very, very calm. It was just a time wherein we felt that, Paris, which is such a busy city, was so quiet and was empty.
Oo nga, sinasabi nila during the pandemics, either you thrive as a person or as a family, or masisira yung relationship, 'di ba? So may ganun ka bang pangamba during that time? Kasi it's one whole year na kayo talaga magkakasama. Kumbaga walang iwanan 'to, 'di ba? Was there an instance na you doubted your relationship?
Yeah. I mean, you said it. I know many friends who have this experience, whose relationships were tested during this time, and some unfortunately didn't make it.
Oh wow.
For us, no, it was actually, I think it strengthened us. We have this joke that he's the primary caregiver between two of us, because he's really the one who takes on the tasks more of child rearing. And and it was funny because I remember one of my the memories of the early lockdown. I was at the office and we knew that Maya was not going to be in school, and so he went to the arts and crafts store, and they bought arts and crafts materials for Maya, and they made like little heart necklaces and things. And so he was already like preparing to hunker down and think of activities. And then he was baking. I told him to try making this whatever recipe of cheesecake or orange cake or whatever, and he made it. And so they were making cookies together. And I was like kind of, my work is sometimes more demanding in the very like time sensitive in that sense. And I guess his work is also demanding. He's an engineer, but I guess his deadlines are kind of more long term compared to mine. So in a way, he was more flexible, and so he was there to fix the Zoom of Maya if she had to have a little thing with a teacher or the ballet class or things like that.
But did you discover anything about yourself during that period?
For me, it was also maybe a lesson on mothering, on motherhood, that it's true that here the kids spend a lot of time in school, and our daughter, she spends also some time in after school, because Simone and I again have demanding jobs.
Maya, you're going back to school today. How does it feel?
Good.
Why?
Because I don't know.
But during this time, I saw how important it is really it's so trite to say, pero to be there for your child. That presence really matters. That just to be there to, as she draws, as she plays, as she watches TV, or as she learns, and you're there beside her to guide her, it makes a difference. Parang hindi lang natin pwede iwanan yung mga anak natin sa eskwela, in the hands of the teachers the whole day. So yeah, that really kind of honed in the importance of being present as a parent.
In terms of Mitch, in terms of, let's say, yung French people, how did they all take it? Kasi 'di ba, when there was a lockdown in the UK, so ang dami nagprotesta, even up until now parang galit na galit sila sa government. In the US, it's very obvious. Nagsisiaklasan sila. But yung French people, how did they take it when the initial lockdown was declared?
We were saying that for the French people who are famous for protesting and being out on the streets, and claiming revolution for the simplest things, they were actually very obedient, at least in the first lockdown, even the second lockdown. I think there was fear. There was a lot of uncertainty. People really didn't know how this was all going to play out. So sumunod sila. Sumunod sila sa mga rules. Kaso nagkaroon ng malaking disappointment nung last year dahil nagkulang ang masks. Tapos una sinabi ng French government hindi kailangan mag-mask, hindi yan importante. Tapos they backtracked and said actually kailangan natin mag-mask lahat. Pero hindi common dito yung parang yung mga nangyayari sa US na nagbo-burn ng masks or nagtatanggal sa loob ng supermarket just to prove a point, Hindi masyado. I think they're kind of more measured here and more in a way giving the government the benefit of the doubt. Having said that is kumbaga parang umiikli yung PC nila.
But I wonder what's the explanation behind it? Kasi nga parang around France, ang daming Germany even sobrang negative yung kanilang feeling about the lockdown and even just wearing masks. I have friends there also na galit sila kay Angela Merkel. So anong explanation doon na French people are pretty much okay with it?
Feeling ko, alam ko yung ito, I theorize. In the same way that France is known for being very opinionated and going out in the streets when they disagree about something, they're also known for welfare. They're also known for being a government that provides billions in aid. And actually, many of these businesses, unlike in the US, where it's a very capitalist system, here there is a lot of government aid given to businesses. So restaurants which have been closed for all these months are still getting aid money. Their employees, which have not been working for all these months, are still getting paid. Maybe not 100%, but a good percentage. So in a way, you can't really bite the hand that feeds you.
True.
They're still being taken care of. So they can only complain so much. May mga moves naman yung government para ma-reopen yung economy. I think, and which I have to say that Macron is up for re-election next year. And so this really is hanging on the balance. Like, he's really going to do his best to reopen the economy and make everything back to normal.
But what's the situation right now? Are the numbers going down? Vaccinations are going up?
So now, so the vaccinations in Europe are really, really terribly slow compared to the US. Naubusan ng doses, hindi na mai-deliver. Tapos they suspended AstraZeneca because of these concerns of side effects. So now it's a kind of starting to accelerate. And they're hoping that by June, half of the population before the summer, half of the population would already have their first dose.
Okay.
France has about 60 plus million people. So 30 million people would have had the first dose by June.
And I just want to know also, Mitch, like, yung mga Filipino communities dyan, how are they taking it?
Iba-iba. Alam mo, ako I usually see them. Kaya nga medyo malungkot rin tong COVID, no? Kasi I usually see Filipinos sa simbahan every Sunday. Pero since ngayon, kailangan nang mag-register para magsimba. And minsan nalilate ako mag-register. Hindi ako nakaka-attend doon sa parish where the Pinoys normally go. And even the times that I do attend, konti na lang yung mga nagpupuntang Pinoy. Siguro hindi rin umabot sa registration na late rin.
Filipino time daw kasi. Ikaw
exactly. Exactly.
Talaga mga Filipino.
Iba-iba naman. The ones, for example, my friends who are Pinoys, they're still working. They're working from home. The others, like I have a friend who works in a restaurant. So now he caters so that he can kind of make up for the lost income. Although he's still getting, as I said, some money, some aid money. And then the others, you know, for example, the domestic helpers. Alam naman natin marami ring domestic helpers dito sa Paris. Nung unang lockdown, hindi sila pinayagan ng mga employer nila na magtrabaho sa mga bahay for safety reasons. Pero unti-unti, nakabalik na rin sila. So, okay. I mean, I think the Pinoys are surviving. They're still, you know, not maybe gathering as much as they used to.
And not very important pa naman yung sa Filipino community to be together.
Yeah. And I feel rin nga kasi, di ba sa Paris, maliliit ang apartment. So mahirap talaga mag-gather sa mga bahay-bahay. So kailangan magkita-kita sa mga parks, mga ganyan. Paano na mag-gathering sa mga parks? Kaka-announce lang ni Macron na hanggang 6 people lang ang pwedeng mag-gather at the same time. Magagawa mo ba yun sa mga Pinoy?
Correct. Mga Filipino, 20 yan eh. Pag sinabi mo 6,
diba? Diba? And then, bawal pa ang alcohol. So, wala nang tanduay, wala nang ginebra.
Pero may wine ka sa tabi mo, Mitch. Yun yun. Pero ito, last question na lang siguro. What's your plan? No? Like, let's say, mag-subside na tong virus and magkaroon na ng at least a semblance of normalcy, kahit kaunti. Anong plano mo at anong plano ng pamilya mong gagawin niyo?
We're gonna travel to Greece.
Greece naman. Joke. So, travel agad, no?
Well, that's really one thing we missed. We were lucky that we had a window last year that nakapag-travel kami. We got to go to Slovenia and Croatia. But that was, you know, after that was the reason people started traveling again. That was the reason why there was a second wave, you know, the virus just spread around Europe. But now, unless, I guess, until we're vaccinated, we won't really feel very safe.
Yeah. It's not easy to be at home every day, every week, the whole year. Paano nila aalagaan yung kanilang mental health?
I've heard a lot of people give the advice to do something that you've always been prolonging. I wanted to write more and to read more. So I wrote in my journal more than I did because I still want to have that practice of writing with my hand, and just let the thoughts kind of flow, you know, on a piece of paper with a pen, and to read. Not just to read newspapers, but to escape and to read fiction, you know, about history, and to cook, like what you've been doing. To bake. I should be doing that more.
It's easy pala to bake and to cook.
I wouldn't.
Pero kung ikaw, thank you for giving us an insight kung ano nangyayari dyan sa France at kung anong buhay mo ngayon dyan sa France. So, stay safe and I hope to see you again in very, very soon.
Yes. As soon as mabakunahan na tayo at mag-reopen na ang borders.
And then after I took medicine, I was fine. And then the next day, yun na, ubo-ubo. Tumalala na yung ubo ko, ganyan. Tapos, tulog ako ng tulog, ganyan. Tapos, hindi ako nilalagnat na after noon. Basta ubo, sipon, tsaka sore throat. Tsaka body pain.